talk about real estate. We are going to be talking about what's next. Today's episode is not just a wake up call, it's a turning point. Don't you think? We're talking about the greatest equalizer in real estate technology. It's not just leveling up, but also making sure that you are flipping the whole board. The agents who adapt, they're thriving. The ones who don't, they're disappearing. This isn't about trends. This is about, it's about survival. We're going to be talking about that. I'm really excited about it because, we see a lot of agents are scaling right now, and some of them are absolutely getting wiped out. And it's really about the great equalizer. So let's get into it. But before we get into it, be sure to subscribe, be sure to like. And if you like it at the end of all of this, make sure you share it with your loved ones who you think this might be applicable to, right? Okay, so let's talk about technology. The great equalizer that is really happening, and a lot of people are just like, they are seeing it, but they're not really, they're feeling it, but they're not seeing it, right? And let's talk about that. So like there are some companies that we've seen that it has made tremendous change in, like Uber, Netflix, right? Were you there when there was Blockbuster?
Yes. Yes.
Yeah?
So it's like what we've seen, right? Taxis are now Uber.
Yeah.
Hotels are Airbnb. Cable TV is now Netflix.
Yeah.
And the music industry is now on Spotify and TikTok and whatever else it is. It's not just about how fast you could do it. I feel like it's also who does it best, because don't you remember Skype?
Oh my
And then
gosh.
when we needed it, it was Zoom.
I loved Skype. Yeah. I loved Skype. Okay. Yeah. So, let's talk about how is it you're seeing that happening in real estate, and a lot of our realtor friends out there that are watching, that may be watching later. By the way, part of the reason why we're having a bit of like delays is because we go live every single week. So obviously going live every single week has got its own challenges. And so that's exactly what it is. So anyways, going back to this, we are seeing it in our industry. We are seeing the effect that technology is making all across different industries, and real estate is no different. So one of the things that we are seeing right now is some of the technologies that are becoming more and more prominent, because like print ads, door knocking, the way open houses were traditionally, they're not working, are they?
They are definitely not doing what they used to do.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah. And the way how are the open houses? Because a lot of the times we talk to sellers and they're like, oh, are you doing open houses? And, we have to have the talk. So why don't you explain to some of the viewers that may not be familiar with like what open houses are and how they're done traditionally?
So traditionally, open houses are done Sunday, 2 to 4. And that's when everybody does their open house. So all of them are competing all at the same time. And a lot of times you'll go in and the agent will, quite frankly, be snoozing because nobody's there, right? People may come at the beginning, people may come at the end, but more and more people are not waiting until an open house to check it out, right? They're on TikTok, they're on Zillow, they're on Google, they're on Realtor.ca. So are they even making it to your open house?
Yeah. And the problem with that is a lot of the times the people that do show up, they're just either your neighbors that don't have anything to do that day and, hey, let's go, we're invited to our neighbor's house.
Yes.
Or just people driving around. So, yeah, traditionally, those traditional stuff, unfortunately, aren't working. And so what's happened is that a lot of agents were doing this for such a long time that they just don't want to adapt. They're just not wanting to get on with the times of how things are. And, just like anything else. And if you don't adapt, what happens is you pretty much get wiped out. Like how many conversations I'm having with so many different people, whether it be like, new sellers or buyers that we've met, or like just agents in particular, where agents themselves, they say, yeah, you know what, we're this is it for us. We're no longer wanting to do this. And the reason for that is this crazy emergence of or emerging technology that has taken place all across with different industries, right?
Right. And it should be making it easier and better for you, not, making you leave the industry, because it takes so many things off of our plate, right? Because it's allowing everyone to be an expert.
Yeah, yeah. And the problem with that is, like, I remember when I got into real estate, a lot of agents would be like coming in and be like, hey, you know what? I've been doing this for X amount of years, and, this is how you do it. And here I was, first of all, back when I started, most of the agents that were in the industry, they were quite a bit, I would say quite a bit older than me. Some of them were doing this as a retirement side gig. So they were done with whatever career they had, and they were just like, this was their retirement plan. Whereas for me, I was like I couldn't say I had a lot of years of experience because I was actually young. And, so all I had to say was, yeah, whatever you teach me, just, I'll do whatever you tell me to do.
Mm-hmm.
The difference between today's time, though, those people, even though let's say some of those people got their license the same time as me, but because they looked older, they seem to suddenly be able to gain a lot more credibility than me. Did you ever experience that? Like, that's something that I really experienced.
Yeah.
In my time, I don't know. Maybe
it's funny. At the beginning, I did feel like that was something that like worked against me. But now I feel like I have people looking at me with new eyes, that it's an asset that I'm young, especially with the approach that we take.
Yeah. No, exactly. And so what happens is, for me at that time, it was like, yeah, there's nothing, because there was no technology. The difference between your time and my time is that my time, there was none of these extra stuff. Like, there was none of these, like, social media, like, having the presence online. There was no AI. There was no, like, crazy CRMs that we have right now. There was none of that. It was just, like, plain traditional way. The only technology we did have was the MLS and how to use the MLS. Maybe, a little bit later on, it was like how to do electronic signing, because electronic signing was not a thing, right? Were you there when electronic signing came on?
No.
The legislation passed for electronic signing?
No. When I got into real estate, like, I've never like had the situation where everybody's like presenting offers in person.
Yes.
I mean, the only thing that I love about open houses is like sometimes I get to see the real estate agents in real life.
Yeah.
Like, do you look like your billboard, or are you 20 years older than what your sign makes you look like?
Gosh. Yeah.
So it's almost like the digital world is more real than the real world.
Hold on that topic. I don't know if you notice, for me, especially with like male agents, a lot of the times in their pictures, I think of them as this, like, slim, tall guys. And then a lot of the times, because I think male agents talk about female agents being like, oh yeah, she looks like 10, 20 years older. But like when it comes to male agents, a lot of the times what I notice is that the picture they have on the billboard and signage seem to be like this tall, slim dude. And then when you see him in person, they're actually very short, like shorter than what I had envisioned them to be. Is that the same with you, or is this just me?
I don't know, but like sometimes I think about when I meet clients in person, because we usually talk to them virtually before. Sometimes we meet them in person. I always wonder, like, am I taller than what you thought, or am I shorter than what you thought?
Yeah.
And I even had one time that like somebody thought that they were two different people. Do you remember that somebody was like,
oh yeah,
I didn't like the girl I met on Zoom, but I loved the girl I did showings with.
Yeah.
And I was like, that's me.
Yeah. Well, that's part of like
The filters must be crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was funny. But maybe in their defense, you have changed. You have evolved. And that's
Maybe.
exactly what we're talking about today.
Yes.
Like, are you that agent who is wanting to keep things the same way? You don't want to change. You want to keep the same, you know? And the problem with that is that in any industry, if you don't evolve, well, guess what? You're just going to get wiped out. You are going to get wiped out. So some of the tools that we are talking about today that are making some of the agents really, really become, you know, it doesn't matter if they look older or not, but just like making them become these super agents is leveraging technology. And some of the technologies that we have, of course, are the CRMs. You know, you talk to agents and you say, do you have a CRM? And I would tell you that probably, you know, 80% of them would say, yes, I do, right? You ask them, do you know of AI? And they would say, yeah, you know, like ChatGPT. If you ask them about like automation, you know, how to do automation, some of them might not know. I would say majority of them, probably 20% of them might know about that. If you talk about like marketing and branding, even less. So what I'm trying to say here is that they may know of things, but the difference between knowing is one thing. A lot of them are like just not using it, right? Like, what good is a tool if you don't use it or you don't know how to use it, right? Like a lot of them that say they have CRM, all they use their CRMs for, and I'll tell you, I'm guilty myself when I first started having a CRM, was to just put in all my clients' info there, but that's it. Like I was using it maybe as a way to like find their phone number, like a phone book, you know, or find their email address. Yeah. But outside of that, I wasn't doing anything with it, right? And so same thing goes with AI, you know, like AI is going to be the next thing. It's going to be the thing where, you know, I don't know if your parents, but my parents, computer was for, you know, like they were so afraid to touch computers.
The next level Google.
Yeah, it really is. So anyways, so those are what are actually making people, you know, the modern agents rise and the traditional agents to just vanish off the marketplace. They just don't know how to use all of these different technologies. Even Zoom, like many of them don't know how to use Zoom.
Yeah, and I think what really changed my idea of what a realtor is supposed to be beyond just, I mean, there's so many ideas that people use. Oh, we're property matchmakers. Oh. We're this, we're that, we're friends with everybody, we're whatever. No, we're supposed to be marketers. Yeah. And if you look at the marketing industry, they're next level. Yeah. Like if you look at what people are doing on Pinterest, TikTok, Google, LinkedIn, like there is not a platform that marketers aren't on. And why are realtors sitting back and calling themselves everything but a marketer? Yeah. I mean, that's the biggest thing too, right? Like I think realtors, part of the reason why realtors themselves don't like to call themselves real estate agents is because they see that whole like, you know, feeling like a salesperson, you know, feeling like they're not advisors. So outside of like marketing, I think that as an agent,
it's nice to be that person to like help your consumer maneuver through the very very changing marketplace. It changes by, by a week these days. We
By
have
the minute. Some.
yeah, in some cases it does. Like, I mean, giving a bit more time changes things a lot. So absolutely. But like tools like ChatGPT, looking at analytics, predictive analytics, even like looking at, sometimes we have data that is presented to us, right? By whether it's the Canadian Real Estate Association or our boards. They just say, hey, you know what? List of, let's say, detached property class in Ottawa has increased or decreased by this much. But it's like to look at that and to say, okay, first of all, do I understand it? And secondly, like, can I extract some information out of this to be able to like make sense out of this to help guide my clients? And that right there, not only the use of technology, but like knowing how to really, I would say, what's the word I'm looking for? I'm looking for like, you know what I'm talking about?
Like what? Manipulate it?
Yeah,
use
not
it,
manipulate it, but like really
like harness the power.
yeah, kind of like what's the word? Oh my gosh. When you have two different languages, you
Okay.
translate it. That's the word. Translate it. Sorry.
Oh, okay.
I'm like holding everything.
Well, that's kind of funny because like AI and ChatGPT and everything has really opened a window for language barriers.
Yeah.
Like now, if there's some kind of great education, some kind of idea that like, let's say I want to know because I only speak English, or you want to know because you only speak these kinds of languages. Now we're presented with all the ideas.
Yeah. Yeah, no, but like what I'm saying, I'm not. The reason why I was laughing
but you
is
mean
I'm
like
not talking
translate.
about languages. Yeah,
I know
yeah,
you're saying translate the data.
Yeah, exactly.
Into
like,
ideas
okay,
that people
I
can
do speak
consume.
English. No, I get it. Yeah. So, anyways, that's basically it. Like, you need to be able to not only read the data, but be able to translate it for your clients to say, okay, based on what I know and what is happening, this is what I think the market is shifting towards or whatnot. And it's so hard for agents to be able to see that if they're not even like, they're not willing to adapt technology. First and foremost.
Yeah, then you're reduced to what they call anecdotal evidence.
Yes.
Which is like your firsthand experience, which if you're really new in this, maybe zero.
Yes.
So you're just hearing what people are saying around the office. Oh, it's a slow market. And then you go to tell your client, oh, it's a slow market. That's what I heard.
Yeah.
And that may not be true.
That may not be true. So it's like, so let's talk about, like, why has technology become the greatest equalizer? Like, why has it been? It's funny because the other day I was talking to this agent whom I know and was saying, with all of this, like, technology, and it's not just one agent, I've heard it from several, and some of them are big agents in the marketplace. And they said how this, the fast changing of technology, of AI, of so many different things, like our back end system, the integration, the search engine optimization, all of this stuff. And it's so funny because we're talking about this. If people log into here, they'd be like, what are you guys, like a tech company? What are you? But like, that's exactly what real estate is. It's just so multifaceted that you can't just be like, oh yeah, this is a house. Like, that's what I tell people these days, by the way. I'm like, when I work with like buyers, for instance, and they're like, oh, well, I found that property. And I'm like, well, I think I sent it to you. then I said to them, finding the property is like, I mean, it used to be the biggest thing in what we did, and I would get so upset, you know that. Like, am I being honest or what? But like, I used to be upset at people be like, okay, the buyer cannot find the property. You as an agent need to find the property. Okay. But the thing is, like, I've changed my position a little bit with that because finding the property is like part of the situation. If that's the only thing you're doing, there's all kinds of other things with real estate that we have to focus on to make sure things are moving forward.
Yeah.
And like that's what I'm talking about, like knowing these different technologies, knowing how to use it, reading the data to be able to show your clients where to go and all of that stuff. What are your thoughts?
Well, I think that technology is the greatest equalizer. I mean, it could be seen in both ways.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it is going to equalize us to all have the same opportunity.
Okay.
In a lot of ways, we already have a lot of the same, like, even if you go to a brokerage that gives everybody the same set of tools, are there people that use all the tools that they're given to the absolute max and like do all the research and sit and watch the videos?
No.
Yes. Well, there's some of them. And then there's the other ones that it doesn't matter how many tools you give them. They're just so resistive and they just don't have the ability to change their mind or be open-minded. What I think is so interesting, because we've been, beating the drum of like traditional agents has been over for a long time in our eyes before ChatGPT.
Yeah.
And there's been a push all along the way.
Mm-hmm.
I think, except for the one place I was expecting it. I was expecting to get some pushback from the clients. The clients are thrilled to hear that there's another way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's so interesting you say that. Yeah. Clients, and I gotta say, like, for us, using technology to get us in front of these people, there's so many marketing companies that are trying to replace us. And I just find it like it's our absolute duty to know these technologies, because we know how to use those technologies best for whatever it is that we need it for, more than some other tech company. You know what I mean? So, and I love it. I love to be able to have the opportunity to get in front of people like yourself. How much, just the other day we were talking on the phone and I'm like, isn't that crazy that, we constantly are sending I love yous to our clients? Like, when does that ever happen in any other, even real estate team? Honestly, I can say with like no shred of doubt that I don't think that there is another, and if you have it, that is amazing. The feeling. But like, when you have your clients that totally trust you, that feel like, you've got their back, that is what you need to become. If you are not as great with everything else, that is what you need to build with your clients, so that they feel trust, like they feel that they can trust you. And do your best, and of course always lean on being part of an organization or team that knows how to manipulate the technology and understand the technology and help you, integrate as much of it into your business, right?
Right. I have a surprising statistic, which is brought by StatsCan. It says that only 6.1% of Canadian businesses are currently using AI. That means there's a huge opportunity for early adopters in our city.
Actually, it's funny. What you're saying is so true, because was it last year or the year before that there was this program that Canada, there was basically it was like it was a program in Canada, federal government or something like that, or maybe provincial, that they were funding companies to adapt technology. And they were basically giving any business that would do the survey, and like they would basically pay for you to hire a company to look at your business, get an overview of your business, and just see where you need to get better, right? And I remember I applied for this program, and what it does is it asks you a bunch of questions, and then it says, okay, where you are as compared to everybody else in that same industry. So every business has got a different criteria. And then for us, for our particular like company, we were like by a lot farther than what like the norm was. So what you're saying is absolutely true. More and more companies, like it's crazy. A lot of companies don't even have a website. Never mind anything else. They don't have a website. And if you don't have a website, your website is your front door. Like it's your you know, it's like you have a front door to your shop or not. Like that's what it is. If you're not online, you don't exist. Really. You know? So it doesn't matter. So okay, that's really interesting. What else do you have in there?
So like what can you use these tools for, right? Like we say CRM, what are you supposed to do when you invest in those tools? It's for automation, social scheduling, analytics. Yeah. I mean, it gives you so much more than that phone book usage that you're talking about. How many agents even know their statistics of from when you meet somebody to them purchasing? Yeah. How long is that? And it's like, it's a business and nobody's running it like a business. Yeah. Right?
The days on market, days in market, the KPIs, key performing indicators, they don't see that. And that's the reason why it cannot be replicated. The process cannot be replicated. How important is it to you, your consumer's journey? Right? Like, how important is it to you that your clients are happy with you? What was it that you were doing that made them be happy versus not happy? And how can you do more of the good things versus the bad things? But if you're not tracking, you can't. And that's how businesses need to operate. And I'm not talking about just real estate. Honestly, this can be applied to every single business out there. But real estate in particular, realtors, they just think, oh, you know what, let's get a listing here and that's it, that's all. But that cannot be the way we operate things anymore. Not in today's world, not in the world of Uber and Netflix and all of that. We cannot be the Blockbuster that once was.
And I would say even with the way that technology is changing, our consumers changing. I think that the consumer is already demanding to know before they fork out tens of thousands of dollars. Yeah. That, like, what exactly is it that they're purchasing? And when you say that you're better than everybody else, because everybody's number one, obviously, are you actually?
Like, yes, we are. We did get voted by Consumer Plan. We are.
I mean, we are, but nobody else is, right?
You know, I used to. It's fun. When we first started. When I first started the team and I was doing the presentation, there was a part where I was part of the presentation where I would say to the buyers or sellers that, you know, everybody advertises themselves as number one this, number one that. But you can technically be number one from the bottom too. Yeah. And they started laughing. They would, every single time they would laugh. Yeah. But it's true. You know, you can't be just number one. There's got to be some, you know, you got to give it some
meat.
Substance.
You know?
Yeah.
So another thing that you need to use these tools for is building your personal brand. And yes, even if you're in a place, I was going to say conservative, but I mean, conservative is traditional. I'm like, oh, we can't say that.
Be careful of the words you use these days.
I
We're getting
know.
close to the elections here
I
in
know,
Canada.
I know. But even if you're in a market like Ottawa, because I feel like in other cities, it's normal to be flashy
Yeah.
and have your personal brand. Like, do you not see like the crazy stuff that Toronto agents do? Or like other cities in the world, it's like they'll do anything to build their personal brand. But here,
You know, they are going to become our extended family. Now, did we lose our, are we offline? Are we on still now? Okay. So,
I was gonna say because like if you guys didn't see, we're talking about personal brand and technology, and you're saying that we're having such good experiences with clients, like we're attracting great people. I think that's because the personal brand is more developed now, and when people get into it, they kind of already know if we're a
The
good match
vibe.
or not.
yeah, they get the vibe. Yeah, it's so true. And um, I am just not sure if we are online anymore. Hopefully we are. Maybe we are on one of the channels. Anyways, we're just going to continue because we're having definitely some computer.
I don't know. That one's
And-
red.
And yeah, I think we're still on. Anyways,
Okay.
Okay, let's talk about the personal brand. So it's funny because again, when I first started in real estate, everybody was going with the colors black and, you know, gold and white and all the boring colors. And then one day I was like, you know, and I was too, by the way. And I said one day, forget all of this. I'm going to go pink. And I end up changing the brand. So that whole thing in the back that is like pink, it used to be gold. And I was like, okay, let's just change it to pink. And I thought, oh my gosh, I'm going to get such a big backlash. But actually to my surprise, people started to like it. And building a brand though, I have to say, it is not a you have to understand that it's going to be a long-term game. It can't be a short-term game, okay? It's like it takes time. It takes time. And people the society we live in today, like it's like everybody's looking for that magic pill. But it doesn't work that way. You have to, you know, you have to do it brick by brick by brick to just kind of get it going. So, with that being said, yeah, definitely I agree with what you said. Building that personal branding and omnipresence online is super, super important, even more important now than later. And the other thing is making sure that you are building a marketing engine that you are not chasing leads, because that is essentially what all brokerages teach you to do. Like, go ahead, chase leads, tell them. Like, I called this girl probably in a week, like 30 times or something like that. By the way, that girl happens to be an agent today. That was my very first call.
Well, you know what? You taught her something from the beginning. Follow up, follow up, follow up. There's agents out here that will hunt.
Yeah, so then one day she got upset. She called me back and she's like, I don't know why you're calling me. I told you if I was interested, I would have called you. And at that moment, I felt this sense of like rejection. I was like, oh no, like she actually didn't like me. So it took me about like maybe 5 seconds. Then here's what I did. I decided to go get a gift card from some coffee shop. I don't know if it was Tim Hortons. I have no idea what it was. But I got a gift card and I sent it to her by just like a, like a card. I said, you know what? Here's a gift card.
Like by text or snail mail?
No, but just mail because there's no, that was my time.
That's traditional.
Yeah.
Long time ago.
I sent it to her and I never heard back from her just because I was thinking to myself, you know what? I don't want anybody to have a bad experience with me. So I did that. Never got anything back from that. And I wonder, one day in the field, when I come across her, I'll definitely be like, do you remember me? And see what's up. But yeah.
That's so
I never
funny.
share that story with you, eh?
No, but very few times does following up go astray.
Yeah. No. I mean, the thing is, though, that was a completely different way of how I was doing business back then anyway. So
yeah,
to me right now, chasing leads is not a way to go. You need to, buying leads is not a way to go. You need to build yourself a marketing engine, a machine that is constantly bringing in people back to you. Otherwise, there's just no way. I was thinking to myself, if I can get a hold of everybody, if I could, that was my thought process back then. If I could call everybody and say, are you looking to make a move? Are you looking to make a move? Everybody, there's got to be somebody there that says, yes, I want to make a move. Yes. And there was. But that took me about 8 months before I found that somebody.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the reason why, in previous episodes, we said only 52% of agents did one transaction in Canada in one of the big box brokerages. But yeah, that's why it fails. So yeah, you need to do that. What is next?
So people are now using AI to write emails, scripts for videos, do property research faster.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, now you could finally learn how to do all the things that Anna's talking about, like how to keep in touch with people, how to keep touching base, how to build a database, all these things without even having to go to school.
Yeah.
And not only is it going to be, sorry.
No, go ahead.
I'm gonna say that, like I said before, these tools can either be an equalizer, like you take it as an opportunity, you rise to the occasion, you learn how to use it, and by the way, they're not super dummy proof to use. Like you got to be able to use the prompts, you got to be able to figure them out, right? And then if you don't rise to the occasion, you're going to be set so far apart, right? Low.
Nowadays, the other tool, the trend with building a doll toolkit. That has taken off. Isn't that funny? And I'll tell you, so many people are, including myself. I was like, "What is this? This is so cool. Can we build one for me?" And then we did it. So you gotta be just fascinated, I think. That's the thing. You gotta be just fascinated with technology. You gotta be a student of life. I remember writing my last exam. I thought to myself, oh, this is so cool. I never have to write an exam ever again. I never have to study anything again. Not true. I mean, you have to be a student, lifetime student. You always have to be wanting to learn new knowledge, new technology. That's how I see myself. I don't know. Are you not fascinated by all of these different technologies? I could be talking to ChatGPT all day long. I remember one day after the day of work, and I stayed here in Ottawa, and my family was off to skiing. My kids ski. So I was strategizing all night long with ChatGPT, my friend.
Yeah.
And it just got, I felt like I had a meeting, like this big meeting all day long. And then my husband called and said, "Hey, what are you doing?" I'm like, "I'm talking to chat. You are like disturbing this conversation right now. We're like getting into good things." But yeah, like, I mean, you gotta use AI and not be afraid of it, I think. And like, you gotta adapt. As an agent, it's the most amazing thing you could do with this technology, and just love it. I don't think, the AI necessarily is going to replace us. It's really, really, it's something I heard from good friends of mine, Bertrand and RG, and I think we talked about it a few episodes ago. And that is like, yeah, technology is not going to replace us. AI is not going to replace what it is that we do. However, it is going to replace those people who don't know how to use it, to their client's advantage.
Yeah.
Right?
And I think that like it could create an opportunity for you to express yourself more, like to
Yeah.
be more yourself, not to be replaced by AI and everything's just AI generated. At least I feel that way with like the creativity boundaries. Like I see what people do with videos, I see what people do with graphic design,
It's
this and that.
fun.
It's crazy.
Yeah, it's fun. It's amazing. And like, social media, for the most part, there's so many different channels out there. And by the way, we're on all of them. But like, we have Facebook, we have Instagram, we have, TikTok, we have Snapchat, we have what else? LinkedIn, we have YouTube. Hello, YouTube. Right there, back at you. There's so many, like the X, right? There's so many different channels. Like you're so into Pinterest. Pinterest is your thing.
I
Right?
do love Pinterest.
Yeah. I just don't get Pinterest, me.
It's like a vision board.
It is a vision board.
And now they have a way to make a vision board on it. Like clipping.
Speaking of vision board, something, I'm going to completely change topic a little bit because, I'm just going to go with it. I heard something that works really, really well. First and foremost, before any of this, you need to have a great mindset. But one thing that works better than vision board is, I heard somebody say like a vision video.
Okay.
Have you heard of that?
Well, no, but I am fascinated by it because everybody says like you need to be able to imagine it, and like I don't have a great like visionary mind. Like
Yeah.
it's hard for me to actually like put a picture in my mind and imagine it.
Yeah, so basically it's like you build out, and I think you can do that on Canva. Canva, you can go ahead and sponsor this. But like you can build a kind of like a slideshow with like moving videos about like what you want to achieve, kind of like a vision board, but it's a video, and it's like for like 30 seconds of what it is that you want to achieve. And I have been wanting to do it. We should do it. I think it's going to be very powerful and very very cool thing to do, because you have to, vision board is good, but like just building a vision board is not enough. Like you need to be reminded of it constantly. I think. Yeah.
And the more senses that you can activate,
Yeah.
like helps you remember and be there and imagine it. Like that's why some people say like to remember stuff. I know to study, it's like you're supposed to, have you heard like you chew the same gum that you're going to chew on the exam, and you use the same pen that you're going to use on the exam, and you write it out because that's like part of your mind. Like remembering it and like doing the motion. So you're like trying to use like all 5 senses.
Okay.
But this like really would embody like your goals and like imagining it for yourself.
Yeah. Yeah. No, definitely. And so I encourage everybody, if you're thinking these are like, what are they talking about? Like, yeah, real estate is all Am I saying it right?
Encompassing.
Encompassing. Yes. Like it's multifaceted. You have to do many different things and to make sense of it all. Because one day can be like really, really sad, but the very next day could be a happy day for somebody. So, and you just got to be able to get back up and get back at it. But I'll tell you, when I lost that lady, that girl who's an agent, and I sent her a card, that day, when I lost that one lead, that I was so, I remember to myself, I was so sad when I lost her. Did that happen to you when you lost that one person that you worked so hard for? I was like in tears to my broker that day, or
Devastated.
manager. Yeah. I was like, oh my gosh, I put so much time into her. And I was like, and I'm like, I have a feeling that like 90% of transactions just don't happen. And she lied to me in that moment. She said, that's not true, Anna. I'm like, I don't know if it's just me or it's like, she's like, no, that's not true. And she kept me on. I'm telling you, so many times, if these people did not lie to me, I would have left real estate a long time ago. But I look at it back, I'm like, thank God I stayed, because now it's fun. Now it's good to see the things that we see. Now it's good to see the lives that we get to change. Now it's good to see or have these kind of conversations. Like the other day, we have, you have your clients that you're working with that are in your car or not in your car, and you're like, I just love them. And they say the same thing back. And it's just nice to be able to work with people like this. So
I agree. And like why it's so devastating when a lead or somebody that you thought was going to work out doesn't work out is because like for me most of the time it doesn't matter about that specific thing. It's just like you get worried that that's like an indicator of the future. Like, oh God, like if these people don't want to work with me, like nobody's ever going to want to work with me ever again. But I feel like with this generation.
Is that how you think?
Well, I just think that it's like, it is like, oh, this is just like,
for me, it's like, it was more to do with like survival. I tell my husband, sorry, honey, not making money here. I'm just spending. That's what it was. It was like, oh my gosh, this is not just being a failure. I think just being a failure. It wasn't about like, oh, I don't know, if this person doesn't like me, then everybody else doesn't like me. It wasn't about the like part. It was more to do with, for me, it was more to do with like, oh my gosh, like like I am not going to be able to, I'm just spending a lot of money. And I had responsibilities, right? Like I had kids and family. Not that you don't have responsibilities. I know
I have
you
a
do.
dog.
I know you do. But it's like, it's just like, at that point, I just felt like, wow, here I am. I'm just like a dead weight in the family.
But what I was going to say to like turn it all around is that like with technology, with all this stuff, it's like you have endless opportunities where before it'd be you're limited to just who you know, and you come across a lead like if they happen to walk into the open house, and everything is so expensive to start and education's so hard to get. Now it's like with this great Equalizer, right? All the resources are there. Lots of them are free. Lots of them are not free.
Yeah, the technology is so good that it could even make you look experienced and aged. Or
not.
Younger.
Whatever you want.
Whatever you want to be. So I would say that the future is here, you guys. If you are in real estate or any industry, first and foremost, audit your business. Are you just working in the operations, or are you planning for the future to expand your business, scale your business? Because something someone once told me is that if you're not growing, you're dying. And so if your business is not growing, is not scaling, that's exactly what's happening. You are getting wiped out by another big tech company that is just, you know, ready to take over. And so I would say to my colleagues, to everybody who's watching, don't be afraid of technology. You know, use it. It's fun. Get in there, enjoy it, interact with it. It's there for you to grow. So, yeah, the future is here. Will you lead or be replaced by it? What's going to happen?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, any final thoughts you want to add to that, Eva?
No, just
No?
thank you so much.
Well, thank you so much for joining us for yet another podcast. Sorry for the delay. We're getting back into the hang of it all. But we really appreciate you. If you found this helpful, if you found this interesting, give us a like. If you have a topic that you'd like us to share with you, we're happy to do that. Next week, we are going to share some never before back behind the scene info and stories that we have experienced as realtors. So make sure you tune in. And again, we want to say thank you so much for joining us on this episode of Realty Podcast. Thanks so much. See you next time.